Chapter 48:26. Just as she spoke, Bailey Hongzhuang did not stay any longer. She took large strides forward and quickly left. Based on the situation that she had noticed, there seemed to be someone approaching from not too far away. Even though she did not know whether the other party was a friend or foe, it was undoubtedly the best choice to leave and observe before the other party arrives. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and took a few steps, a sneak attack came stealthily towards her. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure flashed and turned into a ray of white light, disappearing from the spot and evading the other party's attack. Stopping in her tracks, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Su Minglei, who had attacked her. Her contrasting black and white eyes were filled with a sense of gloominess. "Sir Su, you don't seem to want me to leave?" Her clear and cold voice was filled with chilliness. If she had not been on guard against Su Minglei, the other party's attack would have been calculated perfectly. Once she was hit by this attack, she would definitely be injured. Su Minglei clearly did not expect his attack to miss. He had calculated the time and angle. Logically speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang should not have been able to evade it. The only possibility was that Bailey Hongzhuang had been on guard against them all this while. It was because of this that she was able to react at the first instance. After understanding this point, Su Minglei's gaze towards Bailey Hongzhuang changed slightly. He had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was only good at pill refinement. He never thought that the other party's vigilance would be so strong. Previously, the clan elder had told him not to underestimate cultivators from the lower realm. This was because they had come from one place to another. The training and cruelty they had endured was fundamentally different from theirs. He had not understood it at first, but after witnessing this scene, he suddenly understood. From the beginning, Bailey Hongzhuang had never trusted them and had always been prepared to defend herself. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Su Minglei did not feel awkward at all. After all, he had been prepared the moment he had decided to make his move. It would be best if he could kill him in one blow. Otherwise, he would have to force him to hand over the spiritual grass. According to his judgment, when they arrived, Bailey Hongzhuang had already picked all the most precious spiritual herbs. Although he did not know what kind of spiritual herb it was, he was sure that it was extremely valuable. "Hand over your storage ring, and we'll let you go." Su Yaqing's gaze locked onto Bailey Hongzhuang. The two of them had arrived late, so Bailey Hongzhuang's harvest was definitely much more than theirs. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. "Just now, the two of you have already broken your promise, and now you say such things again. Do you think I will believe it? You don't have a choice." Su Yaqing's eyes were cold. "If you don't hand over the storage ring, we won't let you leave. If you hand over the pill formula for the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill, I won't take your spiritual grass." Su Minglei said, although the spiritual grass was very valuable. As long as they had the pill formula for the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill, their value would truly be limitless. "So that's your goal." A disdainful smile flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's deep, bottomless eyes. Her expression suddenly turned fierce. "Then we'll have to see if you have the ability to do so." As soon as she spoke, Bailey Hongzhuang's aura exploded. She had not wanted to fight them, but now that things had come to this, a fight was unavoidable. Chapter 48:27. A look of astonishment flashed across the Su siblings' eyes. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would dare to take the initiative to fight them under these circumstances. Most importantly, judging from Bailey Hongzhuang's expression, it was obvious that she was not afraid of them at all. The two of them could not help but look at each other at the thought of this. Could it be that they had made a mistake in their previous judgment? Big brother, the calmness on her face could be an act. Su Yaqing sized up Bailey Hongzhuang as her mind raced. Pretending to be calm was also a method. If they give up because of this, perhaps Bailey Hongzhuang's plan would succeed. Su Minglei nodded. He and Su Yaqing had the same idea. Since they had already made their move, they must obtain the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. The heavens had given them a chance by allowing them to meet Bailey Hongzhuang at the first opportunity. They could only take advantage of this opportunity to resolve everything unknowingly. Then, Su Minglei and Su Yaqing no longer hesitated. The power within their bodies surged out, and they charged towards Bailey Hongzhuang without hesitation. "Master, leave Su Minglei to me." Seeing that the other party had made their move, Baisher naturally would not decline. Ever since his cultivation had increased, he had not found anyone to practice with. This fellow had actually dared to set his sights on his master. He would never let him off. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. "Both of you, deal with Su Minglei together. His powers are not to be underestimated." Even though she does not know much about Su Minglei, his powers would not be weak if he was able to become the leader of an aristocratic family's disciple. All right. When Su Minglei saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had charged towards Su Yaching and left her two contracted beasts to deal with him, his eyes flashed with astonishment. He then could not help but chuckle. Indeed, Bailey Hongzhuang's toughness had been an act. She did not dare to fight him and had instead sent her two contracted beasts to fight him. It was obvious that these two contracted beasts were here to throw their lives away. He only needed a single move to deal with these two contracted beasts. A smug look flashed across Su Minglei's eyes. As long as he could control Bailey Hongzhuang, he would be able to obtain the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill and the pill formula of another long-lost pill. At the same time, he would also be able to ask Bailey Hongzhuang how she was able to contract 2 demonic beasts. This point also made him very puzzled. Clearly, every cultivator could only have 1 contract beast, so why was Bailey Hongzhuang able to contract 2? This was too strange. Now, he felt that the cultivators from the lower realm were full of secrets. He had never encountered such a situation before. "Bailey Hongzhuang, you sent these 2 contracted beasts to deal with me. Are you trying to send them to their deaths?" Su Minglei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a sneer. "If that's the case, I advise you to just hand it over and save yourself the trouble." Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Su Minglei indifferently. "If you want to fight, just do it. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Su Yaching looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her and chuckled. "It's already come to this point. Why are you still putting up a strong front? With your strength, I don't even need to think to know that you are no match for us. Those who died in my hands before also thought so." Chapter 48-28. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's lack of fear, Su Yaching's heart was filled with suspicion. She had originally thought that Bailey Hongzhuang had only done that to scare them. Once she succeeded, she would be able to escape. However, Bailey Hongzhuang could no longer escape. Yet, she still maintained her previous confidence. This was a little strange. "Since you're so insistent, I can only grant you your wish." Su Yaching's gaze turned cold. She did not believe that her powers were inferior to an alchemist from the lower realm. If that was the case, it would be too laughable. When Xiao He and Bai Shi saw that Su Minglei did not place them in his eyes, they were not displeased. Su Minglei had underestimated them and was at a disadvantage. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger was something they were very good at. Su Minglei looked lazily at the 2 contracted beasts in front of him and reached out to call the fiery cloud fox over. Wasn't it a joke to let him deal with 2 contracted beasts? "Fiery cloud fox, I'll give you a chance to train." The fiery cloud fox stood next to Su Minglei. When it saw Bai Shi clearly, its fur instantly stood up. "Go!" Su Minglei looked at the fiery cloud fox and said. The fiery cloud fox stared speechlessly at Su Minglei. Was this fellow mistaken? He was actually asking it to deal with a beast king? Don't you know about the hierarchy among monstrous beasts? Based on the difference in their levels, it was impossible for it to win against a beast king. Su Minglei saw that the fiery cloud fox was only staring at him blankly and had no intention of attacking. He frowned. "You don't dare to attack?" The fiery cloud fox nodded. "What a joke. This was completely asking for a beating, all right?" Seeing this, Su Minglei was secretly astonished. Su Yaching's fiery cloud fox was rather powerful. Usually, when there were monstrous beasts around, the fiery cloud fox would be responsible for dealing with them. Now it was behaving so strangely. Su Minglei did not force it. He waved the long staff in his hand and attacked Bai Shi. Just as he attacked, Bai Shi's figure flashed and dodged the long staff. His white and red body transformed into a beam of light and shot towards Su Minglei at lightning speed. The sudden attack and speed stunned Su Minglei. The Firecloud Fox was also a Yao beast that excelled in speed. Unexpectedly, this Yao beast was even faster than the Firecloud Fox. Shwa! In the blink of an eye, a claw mark appeared on Su Minglei's face. Feeling the pain on his face, Su Minglei's face became very ugly. He never thought that he would be attacked by a contract beast. Although the scars on his face were nothing, it was still too embarrassing. However, White Lion was not satisfied with his attack. If Su Minglei had not reacted so quickly, that attack would have been enough to severely injure him. Xiaohei's movements were also very fast. While the White Lion was moving, she took the opportunity to appear behind Su Minglei. Su Minglei's figure had just stopped, and he was still immersed in the gloominess of being attacked by the White Lion. His foot, which contained the power of light, kicked out fiercely. Bang! Su Minglei did not notice that Xiaohei had run up behind him. Most importantly, from his point of view, a little fellow like Xiaohei would only be able to launch sneak attacks. Her strength was not that great. However, his judgment was wrong once again. Chapter 48-29. Just as he was about to make a move, Xiaohei's figure grew larger, and he mercilessly kicked over. However, after the kick, Xiaohei instantly shrunk its body again. The Firecloud Fox at the side also widened its eyes when it saw Xiaohei's ability to change its body size. Although some demonic beasts could also change their body size, the difference in Xiaohei's size was too terrifying. At the very least, it never knew that a demonic beast could change its body size so drastically. When Su Minglei turned around and saw the shrunken Xiaohei, he was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He couldn't understand how a contracted beast with such a small body could have such terrifying strength. First, he underestimated Bai Shi. Now he underestimated Xiaohei. This was simply asking for his life. I've underestimated both of you. Su Minglei looked coldly at the two contracted beasts in front of him. It had only been one exchange, but he was already injured. This was completely beyond his expectations. We're not the only ones you've underestimated, Bai Shi said coldly. Hearing Bai Shi's words, Su Minglei's eyes widened. His face was filled with astonishment. You can actually speak human language? What's wrong with being able to speak human language? You're making a fuss over nothing. Xiaohei looked mockingly at Su Minglei. Its expression was as if it was looking at a country bumpkin who had never seen the world. It was Su Minglei's first time being looked at with such disdain by a contracted beast. However, the situation in front of him made it impossible for him to remain calm. You can actually speak as well? As far as he knew, any contracted beast that could speak human language had already reached the level of transforming into a human. Could it be that the two contracted beasts that he had underestimated had already broken through to the Nebula Realm? How is this possible? Bailey Hongzhuang was a cultivator from the lower realm. Her contracted beasts were naturally brought up from the lower realm. Chapter 48-30. If she did not cultivate diligently after coming to the upper realm, she would not be able to deal with such strength. However, she was no longer at the same level as when she first came here. Even if they fought, she was not afraid. As soon as Su Yakin fought, she discovered that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength wasn't any weaker than her own. Shock immediately appeared in her eyes. If her judgment was correct, Bailey Hongzhuang should be younger than her. However, her strength was on par with her. Her potential was terrifying. Most importantly, Bailey Hongzhuang was an alchemist. She suddenly felt that Bailey Hongzhuang and Ouyang Jifeng were both abnormal. Such geniuses could not be judged with common sense. Others could not multitask, as it was easy to waste their talent. However, when it came to them, it was not obvious, because multitasking did not affect them at all. You are also a 6-star light realm. Su Yakin could not help but ask, is there any meaning in talking about this between us? Bailey Hongzhuang asked back. However, her hands did not stop moving. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Su Yakin's expression changed slightly. Bailey Hongzhuang was really eloquent. Her words were irrefutable. Su Yakin subconsciously looked at Su Minglei. If Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was similar to hers, then their fight would not be settled in a short time. However, as long as Su Minglei settled the two contracted beasts, then her problem would be solved quickly. However, in the blink of an eye, she discovered that there were wounds on Su Minglei's face. Her eyes were immediately filled with shock. Her elder brother was injured by two contracted beasts? How is this possible? Her elder brother was only a step away from breaking through to the Nebula Realm. According to their judgment, Su Minglei could definitely break through to the Nebula Realm in the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm. However, Su Minglei was injured by two demonic beasts. How strong were the two contracted beasts? At first, Su Yakin only thought that she had seen wrongly. However, when she took a second look and saw that there were indeed scars on Su Minglei's face, she did not know what to say. How could Bailey Hongzhuang's contracted beast have such strength? An indescribable envy spread in Su Yakin's heart. If she could have such a powerful contracted beast, then her status would skyrocket. However, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't give her too much time to be shocked. She immediately attacked. Her idea was very simple. She wanted to end the battle quickly. She had already sensed that other cultivators were approaching. She had to end this battle as soon as possible. Otherwise, the situation would become even more troublesome. This was because she was unable to determine whether his appearance would be beneficial or detrimental to her. Under Bailey Hongzhuang's attack, Su Yakin retreated step by step. She simply did not have the strength to take the initiative to attack Bailey Hongzhuang. Instead, she had been passively resisting. In the process of dodging, she was shocked to the extreme. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she would have found it hard to believe that Bailey Hongzhuang's combat strength was actually so strong. Were cultivators from the lower realm really so powerful? Why was the situation so different from what they had imagined? Chapter 48-31. This discovery left her speechless. She couldn't imagine how Bailey Hongzhuang managed to nurture such a powerful contracted beast. Not to mention anything else, just Bailey Hongzhuang alone. With such a contract beast, the average cultivator would not be her opponent. As for the other contracted beast, although it wasn't as powerful as the larger contracted beast, it was also at the Starlight Realm. All of a sudden, she felt that her identity might have been reversed with Bailey Hongzhuang. She was the one who came from the lower realm. At the very least, she couldn't compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for Su Minglei to deal with these two contracted beasts quickly. On the contrary, he was restrained by the two contracted beasts. This was because he was already injured at the beginning, which affected his strength. Coupled with the fact that this larger contracted beast was not weaker than him, the result was obvious. After understanding Bailey Hongzhuang's true strength, Su Minglei and his sister started to regret their previous decision. If they knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had such strength, they wouldn't have chosen to fight her. They were frustrated. Why didn't Bailey Hongzhuang tell them about these two abnormal contracted beasts? Otherwise, they wouldn't have fallen into such a predicament. Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang's attack landed on Su Yakin's chest. Bang, bang, bang. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't stop after the attack. She continued to attack Su Yakin in the same place. Boom! Su Yakin's body flew backward and landed heavily on ground. Puffed! Su Yakin spat out a mouthful of blood. She covered her chest with her hand, and her face turned pale. She thought that even if Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation was similar to hers, she wouldn't be Bailey Hongzhuang's match. However, she later found out that Bailey Hongzhuang's combat strength was much stronger than hers. Although she didn't want to admit it, she wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang's match at all. In front of Bailey Hongzhuang, she didn't even have a chance to fight back. After Su Minglei noticed Su Yakin's situation, a trace of horror appeared in his eyes. He knew his sister's strength. Her strength was considered good among cultivators of the same age, but she couldn't be compared to those abnormal cultivators. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was stronger than her. From the looks of it, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't just a little stronger. Miss Bailey, let's talk. When Su Minglei saw Bailey Hongzhuang approaching Su Yakin, he hurriedly shouted out. Hearing him, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Su Minglei indifferently. Bailey Hongzhuang, what is there for us to talk? Bailey Hongzhuang, Su Minglei to assess. Bailey Hongzhuang's, he Bailey Hongzhuang, Bailey Hongzhuang's, but Bailey Hongzhuang, he's Bailey Hongzhuang, TT Hongzhuang. No matter what, he couldn't let Su Yakin die in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed gently and raised her eyebrows. If I was the one who was at a disadvantage, would you show mercy? Silence. Su Minglei didn't know how to answer Bailey Hongzhuang's question. Chapter 48-32. This was because the D family was a colossus. If it were not for the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang had so many treasures on her, they would not have taken the risk of offending the D family by attacking her. Hence, once they had made their move, they had to eliminate the source of trouble. They could not give the D family any chance to take revenge. Lady Bailey, everything can be discussed. We will agree to any request you have. Su Minglei said anxiously. Su Yaqing looked at Bailey Hongzhuang nervously. She did not want to lose her life here. Lady Bailey, it was all our fault. Please be magnanimous and let us go. We will agree to any request you have. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved slightly. My request is very simple. You can just die. She had always been the type of person who would not attack unless she was attacked first. If the other party had not intended to kill her, she would not have wanted to kill them. However, since the other party had wanted to take her life, she would not be kind either. Being merciful was not her style. As soon as she finished speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang attacked Su Yaqing directly. Su Minglei and Su Yakin's eyes flashed with disbelief when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's decisive reaction. Bailey Hongzhuang had not even listened to their conditions and had directly rejected them. This kind of courage was not something an average person would have. Even if it was them, they would at least listen to everything before making a decision. But Bailey Hongzhuang was so decisive. Stop! Ding! A flying dagger flashed and blocked Bailey Hongzhuang's attack on Su Yakin. Then, a figure appeared in the line of sight of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Su Yakin and Su Minglei were pleasantly surprised when they saw this person appear. Jiachao. Su Jiachao quickly walked to Su Yakin's side and stared coldly at Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, you don't have to be so heartless, do you? As he spoke, Su Jiachao was also sizing up Bailey Hongzhuang. His heart was also filled with surprise. He was very clear about the strength of Su Minglei and Su Yakin. He did not expect that they would be at a disadvantage in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. This was really unbelievable. If he had not appeared just now, Su Yakin would have died in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but frown. She didn't expect the two from the Su family to be so lucky. You're the ones who took the initiative to look for trouble. Now, you're putting this heartless name on my head. Aren't you too shameless? Su Jiachao was slightly taken aback. After looking at Su Minglei's expression, he finally reacted. He didn't expect that the first to make a move would be their people. Instantly, his expression became a little awkward. Su Yakin rose to her feet with Su Jiachao's help. Her eyes were icy cold and filled with murderous intent. Why do you care so much about her? Attack! Previously, she and Su Minglei were no match for Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that Su Jiachao has joined the battle, they could defeat Bailey Hongzhuang. Su Minglei's gaze changed as well. Indeed, this was a great opportunity. Master, these fellows are too shameless. The speed at which they change their faces is truly astonishing. Xiao Hei's eyes were filled with disgust as she stared at them. Her reaction would change at the slightest change. Chapter 48-33. Baishur appeared to be calmer. It already knew what kind of trash these fellows were. These two contracted beasts can talk. Su Jiachao could not help but be dumbfounded when he heard Baishur and Xiao Hei's conversation. His reaction was exactly the same as Su Minglei's. At this moment, he finally understood why Su Minglei and Baishur were no match for Bailey Hongzhuang. It was because these two contracted beasts were terrifyingly powerful as well. Su Minglei nodded. These two contracted beasts are not to be trifled with. Su Jieqiao and Su Minglei were very familiar with each other. Just by looking at Su Minglei's expression, Su Jieqiao could guess what had happened. However, none of this was important. He also knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had treasures on her. As long as he could obtain these treasures, he would be able to reap considerable benefits. He made his decision without hesitation at the thought of this. Master, what should we do now? Xiaohe had a complicated look on her face. They were already in an advantageous position. Now that Su Jieqiao has arrived, the situation has changed. At most, we'll cripple them all. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were icy cold. She had never been one to be afraid of trouble. Since the other party had come knocking on her door, she naturally would not be afraid. However, before we do that, we have to see if the person behind us is a friend or foe. Hearing this, Xiaohe was shocked. Are there other cultivators? That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. Previously, she had sensed two auras approaching from different directions. In order to prevent the previous incident from happening again, she had to clarify the situation. Attack! Su Yakin clearly did not notice the situation and was about to attack. However, Su Minglei stopped her and stared into the distance with a complicated look in his eyes. Someone else is coming. It seems that I've arrived at the right time. A clear and refreshing voice rang out. Then, a man in a blue robe slowly appeared in everyone's line of sight. When she saw the man, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with shock. She was no stranger to this man. It was Ouyang Jifeng. Ouyang Jifeng? Su Minglei and the other two couldn't help but frown when they saw that it was Ouyang Jifeng. They didn't have any relationship with the Ouyang clan. That's right, it's me. Ouyang Jifeng smiled and nodded. This matter has nothing to do with you. Su Minglei said slowly, if you're willing to leave. Before Su Minglei could finish his words, Ouyang Jifeng had already reached out to stop him. You're wrong. This matter is related to me. As he spoke, Ouyang Jifeng stood beside Bailey Hongzhuang under the surprised gazes of Su Minglei and the others. Miss Bailey is my friend. The three of you are ganging up on her. I can't stand it anymore. Ouyang Jifeng smiled and raised his eyebrows at Bailey Hongzhuang. I didn't expect us to be so fated. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Indeed, she didn't expect the person to be Ouyang Jifeng. She thought that she was going to start a massacre. However, now that Ouyang Jifeng was here, she naturally couldn't make the same plans as before. When Su Minglei and the other two heard Ouyang Jifeng's words, their faces turned ugly. They really didn't expect these two to be friends. Chapter 48-34. Ouyang Jifeng, are you really going to interfere in this matter? Su Minglei looked at Ouyang Jifeng with an ugly expression. Originally, they were in an advantageous position and victory was already in their hands. However, once Ouyang Jifeng joined in, the situation would be completely ruined. Most importantly, Ouyang Jifeng was the top genius of the Ouyang clan. It was said that his cultivation had already broken through to the Nebula realm. Once he joined in, Bailey Hongzhuang would gain the greatest advantage. I think I've already expressed myself very clearly. Ouyang Jifeng's expression was calm, and his attitude did not change at all. Seeing this, Su Minglei and the other two looked at each other. It seemed that they had really made a wrong decision. Once Bailey Hongzhuang left, the D-Clan's disciples would know that they had attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. It would be unavoidable for them to be in trouble. All right, you win. Let's go. Su Minglei looked deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang and Ouyang Jifeng and made the decision to leave. Hearing this, although Su Yaqing was a little unwilling, she knew that leaving now was the best outcome. Otherwise, once Bailey Hongzhuang and Ouyang Jifeng joined forces, their situation would be really bad. Miss Bailey, do you want to fight? Ouyang Jifeng looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. If you want to fight, I can help. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. No need. Thank you for today. She and Ouyang Jifeng met at the alchemy competition. Because they were both very good at alchemy, the two of them became friends because of this. However, later on, Ouyang Jifeng was in seclusion, so the two of them did not contact each other. In fact, she was also a little surprised that Ouyang Jifeng would stand on her side. She understood that Ouyang Jifeng was not the least bit unhappy that she had stolen his limelight at the alchemy competition. On the contrary, he was somewhat sympathetic. Miss Bailey is too polite. I think that even if I didn't appear, you wouldn't be afraid. If my appearance has affected you, then I'm sorry. Ouyang Jifeng's eyes glinted with wisdom. Originally, when he noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's situation, he felt that she would be in danger, so he directly appeared. However, when he got closer, he realized that even though Su Minglei and the other two had an obvious advantage, Bailey Hongzhuang did not show the slightest bit of fear. He could tell that she was not putting up a strong front, but was truly not afraid. Therefore, he believed that even if he did not appear, Bailey Hongzhuang would still be safe and sound. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Young Master Ouyang, I'm very grateful that you're willing to help. How can I apologize? I'm relieved that Miss Bailey doesn't blame me, Ouyang Jifeng said with a smile. Ouyang Jifeng's gaze swept across the herb field, and he smiled. Looks like Miss Bailey's harvest today is not small. It's all right, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. I've obtained some spiritual herbs. Does young Master Ouyang need them? No need. Ouyang Jifeng waved his hand. This immortal cloud mystery realm is a good place for spiritual herbs to grow. There are many other places that have them. These are your harvest, so keep them for yourself. However, you must be careful not to be targeted by others. Most of the people here only look at benefits. I understand. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. This situation was within her expectations. Everyone was here to fight for resources, and no one was a kind person. Situations where people killed each other for resources were common. Chapter 48-35. Nope. Ouyang Jifeng shook his head. I've only met anyone on my way here. I didn't expect this place to be so lively. If you're looking for a member of the D family, you should continue looking further ahead. The deeper you go, the more likely you'll meet them. When we first entered, we were all scattered around the outskirts of the divine cloud mystic realm. Everyone would be closer to the inner regions. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood. So that's how it is. Miss Bailey, I'll take my leave first. Since I've entered, I should look for my own opportunities, Ouyang Jifeng said with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang cupped her hands. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Take care. With that, Ouyang Jifeng did not stay any longer and left in one direction. Looking at Ouyang Jifeng's departing figure, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curled into a faint smile. Ever since she had gone to Water Praying City, she had met many members of the aristocratic families. Ouyang Jifeng had left the best impression on her. Not only was he exceptionally talented, hard-working, and determined, he also had a broad heart. If it had been anyone else, they would have been unhappy that she had stolen their limelight. However, Ouyang Jifeng had never thought this way. On the contrary, he had placed most of his attention on himself, searching for his own shortcomings. A person like this would definitely achieve great things. Master, I thought that Ouyang Jifeng would travel with you. Baisher's voice slowly rang out. I thought so too. Xiao Hei's face was filled with astonishment. Although I know him, we're not that close. Traveling together rashly is actually a test. Since that's the case, it's better for us to travel separately. Her deep almond-shaped eyes flashed with wisdom. If I'm not wrong, he should know that I have other things to do. With that said, Xiao Hei and Baisher could not help but look at each other, their faces filled with confusion. Master, what do you mean by that? What other things do we have to do? Are you going to let those three guys go just like that? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Of course not. No. Xiao Hei and Baisher did not hesitate to express their stance. If it was an ordinary conflict, it would have been fine. However, Su Minglei and the other two were simply too detestable. A cold glint flashed in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. The other party was determined to kill her. She would not let such a person live and bring danger to herself. She was very clear about her current attractiveness to others. If Su Minglei and the other two were publicize it, it would be very troublesome. From what happened just now, She already understood the characters of these three people. Once they ran away, trouble would be inevitable. Master, are you planning to chase after them? Xiaohei asked. But they've already traveled quite a distance. I'm afraid it won't be easy for us to catch up to them. Although they had not spent much time conversing with Ouyang Jifeng, cultivators moved very quickly. Furthermore, they were not sure which direction the other party had left in. It would not be easy to catch up to them. I've already left a mark on Su Yaqing's body. I know where she is. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled. She had been worried that the other party would ruin the situation, so she had left a mark to prevent them from escaping. Impressive. Chapter 48-36. After Su Minglei and the other two decided to leave, they left as fast as they could. Bailey Hongzhuang's previous display of decisiveness had shocked them. If Bailey Hongzhuang changed her mind and dragged Ouyang Jifeng along to deal with them, it would be really troublesome. Therefore, the three of them left as fast as they could. I don't know if Bailey Hongzhuang will chase after us. Our previous judgment was really wrong. Su Minglei couldn't help but sigh. He thought that it was foolproof, but he didn't expect the other party to be stronger than them. Su Yaqing nodded. Fortunately, Jie Chao came. Otherwise, I would have lost my life. I really didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be able to deal with the two of you. It seems that everyone has underestimated her. Su Jiechao wasn't clear about what had happened before, but he could roughly guess in his heart. That's right. Previously, everyone thought that Di Beichun came from the lower realm and couldn't possibly be the head of the Di family. However, based on the current situation, even if he didn't stay in the Di family all these years, his results are not worse than those who stayed in the aristocratic families. Su Minglei's eyes were filled with regret. If we knew the situation would be like this, we wouldn't have attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. Previously, when Xiao Sou and Bailey Hongzhuang had a conflict, you saw how Di Beichun protected her. If he knows that we wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang, I'm afraid he won't let us go. It was precisely because of this that he had considered it before, but in the end, he still made this plan. Sigh. Su Jiechao sighed. There's no other way. Who would have thought that she would hide so deeply? However, we have to be more careful from now on. It's best to find the other members of the family as soon as possible. As long as they are stronger than Bailey Hongzhuang and Ouyang Jifeng, then we don't have to worry. Su Yaqing said, All right, let's check if there are any marks on our bodies first. Su Minglei reminded. At their level of cultivation, it was very easy to leave a mark on the other party's body. If they didn't remove the mark, the other party would be able to know where they were at any time, which would undoubtedly be extremely troublesome. Hearing Su Minglei's reminder, Su Yaqing and Su Jiechao were startled and hurriedly checked their bodies. I didn't leave any marks. Su Yaqing checked herself and felt relieved. That's good. Su Minglei nodded. I think she didn't expect something like this to happen, so she didn't have time to leave a mark. Maybe the cultivators of the lower realms don't have the habit of leaving marks. Su Jiechao smiled. There are still some differences after all. Bailey Hongzhuang followed the mark she left and chased forward. Since she had made a decision, she had to solve this problem as soon as possible to avoid more trouble. Master, will they discover the mark you left behind? White Lion asked worriedly. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it and shook her head. They shouldn't have discovered it yet. Otherwise, they would have erased the mark directly. The method she used to leave the mark was rather special and belonged to the previous method. According to her judgment, Su Yaqing shouldn't be able to detect it. Even if the other party detected it, it would be very difficult to remove it. It was obvious that no matter what the other party said, she would not change her mind. Su Jiechao and Su Yaqing's expressions turned ugly when they heard this. Do it, Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. Even though she did not know why Su Minglei was not here, this was quite beneficial to her. This way, they could first deal with the two people in front of them before looking for Su Minglei. Xiaohei and Baishu charged forward without hesitation when they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's orders. Chapter 48:38. Su Yaqing was still unaware of what had happened. She only felt a sudden pain in her body, and Bailey Hongzhuang's attack was about to hit her. She had no time to think. Just as she was about to block the attack, she realized that Bailey Hongzhuang had completely ignored her and had turned to attack Su Jiqiao instead. When she saw this, she could not help but be shocked. She could not understand why. However, she soon understood because she felt a sharp pain coming from her body. Following her careful examination, she realized that she had been poisoned. She thought about it and realized that the piercing pain from before had been caused by poisoning. "You've poisoned me?" Su Yaqing stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. She never thought that the other party would use such a method. However, in the face of Su Yaqing's shock, Bailey Hongzhuang could not even be bothered to reply. Besides, the other party was about to die, so there was no point in speaking. Su Jiqiao was completely shocked when he saw Su Yaqing fall. However, he did not have the time to feel sad over Su Yaqing's death, because under the attack of Bailey Hongzhuang and the two contract beasts, he did not have the slightest strength to fight back. The injuries on his body continued to increase, and he did not even have the chance to escape. "Bailey Hongzhuang, why must you be so ruthless?" Su Jiqiao glared angrily at Bailey Hongzhuang. "We clearly have no grudge against each other. This matter indeed has nothing to do with you. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for appearing at the wrong time." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. The first to make the wrong decision had been Su Minglei and Su Yaqing. This had nothing to do with Su Jiqiao, but since they were already together, they must have understood what had happened. If she were to let Su Jiqiao go, he would definitely cause trouble for her. That was not what she wanted to see. Bai Shi was enough to deal with Su Jiqiao. With the addition of Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao He, the result was obvious. In a short period of time, Su Jiqiao no longer had the power to retaliate. "Where did Su Minglei go?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked. "I won't tell you." Su Jiqiao gritted his teeth as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. His heart was filled with complex emotions. Previously, because Su Yaqing was injured, it was not good for her to travel all the time, so they rested for a short time. While they were resting, Su Minglei had talked to him and thought that the two of them should leave first. This was the safest way. At that time, he didn't understand why Su Minglei had decided to abandon Su Yaqing, and had even argued with Su Minglei about it. In the end, Su Minglei decided to leave on his own, and he didn't stop him. However, he did not expect that Su Minglei's judgment was actually correct. Bailey Hongzhuang had really found her. "It's fine if you don't want to talk about it." Bailey Hongzhuang glanced coldly at Su Jiqiao, and the sharp blade in her hand slashed across. "Clean and tidy." "Master, if you kill him just like that, doesn't that mean we won't be able to find Su Minglei?" Xiao He looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in confusion. Perhaps Su Minglei was somewhere nearby. "He won't talk," Bailey Hongzhuang slowly replied. "Even if I use other methods to force him to talk, I'm afraid that he won't be able to give us a specific location." The Divine Cloud Mystic Realm was not a place they were familiar with. No one knew where they would end up if they continued to walk forward. Even if Su Jiqiao had casually made up a lie, she wouldn't be able to tell if it was true or false. Chapter 48:39. Since that was the case, she might as well search for him herself. Upon hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Bai Shi and Xiao He looked at each other. They were beginning to feel that their master was very smart and quick-witted. If my guess is correct, Su Minglei is a smart man. He must have predicted that I would come looking for him, so he ran away first. A complicated light flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's bright eyes. She sighed inwardly. She never thought that she would be one step too late. Isn't his behavior a little too disloyal? He would actually abandon his own family members just like that. Xiao He was speechless. His behavior was truly contemptible. However, aside from this explanation, there seemed to be no other possibility. Even though he's disloyal, it's undeniable that he's very smart, Bai Shi said. If he had stayed behind, he would be dead by now. Bailey Hongzhuang took Su Jiaqiao and Su Yaqing's storage rings in her hands, and with a casual swipe, she erased the imprint on them. She flipped through the rings and realized that there were many treasures inside. However, she did not look at them for long before putting them away. There are indeed many treasures in the storage rings of the disciples of aristocratic families. However, there aren't any particularly important items in the family. Clearly, they knew that they could perish here, so they did not bring any of their family's martial techniques or cultivation techniques with them. Nothing was more precious than a family's inheritance. However, these storage rings clearly did not contain it, so there was no need to examine them carefully. Master, should we go look for Su Minglei now? Xiao Hei's heart sank. If Su Minglei had run away just like that, she would not feel too good about it. Let's go our own way. There's no need to go out of our way to look for him. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was mild and calm. He must have deliberately changed his direction in order to avoid us. It won't be easy to find him. Previously, she had not exchanged blows with Su Minglei, so she had not left a mark on his body. She never thought that he would be so smart to have made such a prompt decision to abandon his own family. However, she believes that they would meet again sooner or later. Sigh, what a pity. Xiao Hei sighed. That fellow is so annoying. After the cultivators from the Jun family and the Ao family entered the Divine Cloud secret realm, they immediately began to search for Ao Lingxiao. They had already received orders to deal with Ao Lingxiao as soon as they saw him. Although there were quite a number of people from the D family and the Lin family, they had to try their luck in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. No one knew which side they would meet first. Once they met, they would be able to solve a huge problem. Therefore, what they cared about the most was not finding resources, but finding Ao Lingxiao. Chapter 4840. Looking at Di Beichen's worried expression, Xiao Bai comforted him. Master, don't worry. With White Lion, Xiao Hei, and White Dragon protecting her, Mistress will definitely not be in danger. Originally, Bailey Hongzhuang was Xiao Bai's master, but later on, its master became Di Beichen. After thinking about it, Xiao Bai changed the way it addressed Bailey Hongzhuang to Mistress. Not only that, but was also very satisfied with the way it addressed her. In its opinion, no one would be able to think of a more suitable way to address her. That's right, Master. Don't worry. Xiao Xuanzi flew beside Di Beichen. Mistress will definitely be safe. Di Beichen nodded slightly. He also understood this, but he could not help but feel a little worried. I feel that this Divine Cloud mystery realm is simply a maze. After entering, we haven't met anything at all. It would be good even if we met another cultivator. Xiao Bai sighed. If they could meet another cultivator, at least it would be able to roughly guess the area of this place. However, since entering, they were like headless flies. If they did not have a direction to leave in, they would not be able to differentiate between north, south, east, and west. It should be soon. Di Beichen pondered. Although he also knew that the Divine Cloud Mystery Realm was not small, it was already very rare for them to not meet another person for so many days. The possibility of them not meeting another person after this was very small. Master, look over there. There seems to be a medicinal field. Xiao Xuanzi had been flying in midair all this time, so naturally it could see further. In its line of sight, it had clearly noticed the existence of a medicinal field. Hearing Xiao Xuanzi's words, Di Beichen and Xiao Bai's eyes lit up. After wandering around here for so many days, if they came across a medicinal field, it would be a good harvest. I heard that there are many spiritual herbs in the Divine Cloud Mystery Realm. If we come across a medicinal field, then we can pick more spiritual herbs for Mistress. Xiao Bai's eyes sparkled with excitement. As an alchemist, Bailey Hongzhuang needed spiritual herbs very much. If he wanted to improve his alchemy skills, he would need a lot of spiritual herbs to practice. Although the D family had a large business, it wasn't easy to get some precious herbs. What's more, there were still a few alchemists in the family. Bailey Hongzhuang naturally couldn't use them casually. Even if she could, she would still feel a little embarrassed. If they could obtain a lot of spiritual grasses here, it would be even better. Bewitching's lips curled into a faint smile as he quickened his pace. Let's go take a look. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to move forward after dealing with Su Yaqing and Su Minglei. Although Su Minglei's escape was not good news, she did not take it to heart. Many people knew that she had the pill formula for the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. So what? She had already mentally prepared herself. As for the spiritual herbs, although they were treasures, not everyone would be as greedy as Su Minglei and the others. They would offend her because of these. Once Su Minglei spread the news, she would also spread the news that Su Minglei had treasures on him. It was still unknown who would die more miserably. Since Su Minglei was a smart person, he would probably make a good judgment on this matter. Just as they were approaching, Bailey Hongzhuang's brows furrowed slightly as a trace of astonishment appeared in her eyes. Chapter 48-41. The stone is reacting. Bailey Hongzhuang exclaimed in surprise. Stone! Xiaohei was stunned. Clearly, she had not realized what kind of stone it was. Bai Shi, on the other hand, reacted immediately. Master, are you talking about the stone that you had obtained in the Penglai Palace? Based on what he had learned, his master had only obtained this mysterious stone. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. That's right, it's that stone. Xiaohei immediately recalled Bai Shi's reminder. Back in the Penglai Palace, Bailey Hongzhuang had concocted a medicine that could heal dark-type injuries. As a reward, the palace master had promised her that she could choose a treasure of her choice. At the time, Bailey Hongzhuang had chosen such a stone. At the time, they had all felt that it was strange because this stone was pitch black and did not seem to have much value. Later on, Bailey Hongzhuang had studied it carefully. When she realized that she had not gained much from it, she had placed it in the Chaos Ring. However, she had not expected that this stone would react after entering the Immortal Cloud Mystic Realm. Master, how did it react? Bai Shi looked curiously at Bailey Hongzhuang. His master's taste was not bad at all. Back then, no one had known the use of this stone. However, his master had still chosen it. Now, it seems that she had made a good choice, because this stone was an item from the upper realm. Bailey Hongzhuang took out the black stone. The pitch-black stone was now emitting a faint glow. Bailey Hongzhuang could clearly sense that this stone was guiding her in a certain direction. Seeing the change in the stone, Xiaohei and Bai Shi looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. It's no wonder that back in the lower realm, no one had known the use of this stone. Xiaohei immediately understood. This was originally an item from the upper realm. How could anyone have discovered its use in the lower realm? Bai Shi nodded. However, I never thought that an item related to this stone would be in the Immortal Cloud Mystic Realm. What a coincidence. If we hadn't come here, we probably wouldn't have known the use of this stone. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved slightly. When she first saw this stone, she had a strange feeling. She always felt that there was fate between them. It was because of this that she gave up on the other treasures and chose this one without hesitation. From this, it could be seen that feelings were also extremely important. Let's follow the direction the stone is pointing to. At the first moment, Bailey Hongzhuang had already made a decision. Since the stone had fallen into her hands, it meant that it was fated to be with her. Immediately after, the man and the 2 beasts rushed in the direction indicated by the stone. However, the area of the Immortal Cloud Mystic Realm was extremely large. Even if they traveled at full speed, they would still not be able to reach it in a short period of time. During the journey, Bailey Hongzhuang also met other cultivators. The other cultivators were the same as her. They were all alone. After the 2 sides met, because they were not familiar with each other, they did not talk. Instead, they scattered far away. Clearly, they did not wish for any conflict to break out between them. That night, Bailey Hongzhuang leaned against a large tree to rest while Bai Shi was responsible for keeping watch. Even though the Immortal Cloud Mystic Realm was a small world, everything here was no different from the forest in the outside world. Chapter 48-42. This immortal cloud mystic realm is really mysterious. Previously, when I heard that we would be leaving this place, I thought that there would be some powerful demonic beasts. I didn't expect that there would be nothing after we entered. I was worried for nothing. Xiaohei smiled and sighed. In the past, they would always encounter all kinds of dangers when they were training. Not only did they have to guard against the sneak attacks of other cultivators, they also had to be prepared to deal with the attacks of demonic beasts. This time, when they entered this place, they were also prepared to fight at any time. Who would have thought that after 10 days in this place, other than the time when they met Su Minglei and the others, everything else had been peaceful? Are you used to being tortured? White Lion looked at Xiaohei mockingly. Now that I've asked you to be a little more peaceful, you still feel that something is wrong? Xiaohei rolled her eyes. I'm not a masochist. I just feel that this situation is a little different from what I imagined. Perhaps this is the difference between the training in the upper realm and the lower realm. White Lion pondered and said, however, it seems that the training in the upper realm is not as cruel as the lower realm. At least from its point of view, the dangers here were much less than what they had encountered in the past. Master, why aren't you saying anything? Xiaohei and White Lion were chatting enthusiastically when they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had remained silent and could not help but ask, I'm thinking about the problem that you've mentioned. Bailey Hongzhuang supported her chin with her right hand as a thoughtful look flashed across her beautiful eyes. She had been very confused about this point. However, after so many days in this place, they had not encountered any danger. Could it be that the immortal cloud mystic realm was really that simple? I still feel that it shouldn't be that simple. Bailey Hongzhuang pondered and said, even if the upper realm is different from the lower realm, their training can't be without danger. Previously, when they were in the D family, the elder did not explain much about the situation in the immortal cloud mystic realm. He only said that this place was very suitable for the growth of spiritual herbs. According to her judgment, the situation in the immortal cloud mystic realm was probably not exactly the same. Hence, there was no way to explain it. This situation was not impossible. I think so too. White Lion nodded with a complicated look in his eyes. Although the journey has been peaceful, I have a strange feeling in my heart. You feel the same way? That's right. White Lion replied with certainty. Since even you think so, there must be something wrong with this. Bailey Hongzhuang had a serious look on her face. All along, Baisher's senses had been very sharp. If she was the only one who felt this way, it might be an illusion. Since she and White Lion felt this way, it might be true. But what kind of danger could there be? Xiaohei looked puzzled. Judging from the situation in the vicinity, she really couldn't think of anything. Bailey Hongzhuang took a deep breath and said, I can't tell at the moment, but we can't relax too much. If there really is a problem, we can deal with it in time. In the blink of an eye, a night had passed. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and the two beasts continued their journey. She could vaguely sense that the item related to the black stone was somewhere far away. At the very least, they wouldn't be able to reach it in a short period of time. After understanding this, Bailey Hongzhuang was not too anxious. Chapter 48-43. 3 days later, Bailey Hongzhuang had been moving in the direction that the stone had sensed. On this day, after traveling for some time, she sensed the presence of cultivators in front of her. It was not just one person, but a group of people. Upon discovering this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiaohei and said, Go and find out what's going on. Xiaohei was undoubtedly the most suitable person to scout for information. It was extremely small and possessed a certain level of ability to hide its aura. As long as the other party did not look carefully, they would not be able to discover Xiaohei. Xiaohei immediately nodded. I'll go right away. After Xiaohei's figure disappeared, Bailey Hongzhuang and Baisher also hid themselves. I hope we'll run into Bewitching and the others. Baisher's eyes were filled with anticipation. Throughout their journey, they had hoped to run into Bewitching and the others as soon as possible. Even if they did not run into Bewitching, it would be great if they could run into cultivators from the D family or the Lin family. However, they had not run into them at all. They felt rather helpless. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. I hope so. Just as they were waiting, they realized that Xiao He had not returned after a long time. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but frown. Something did not seem right. Master, Xiao He usually gathers information very quickly. However, it has not returned after such a long time. This does not fit its usual style. Baisher had been hanging out with Xiao He ever since it was born. From the time it had been bullied by Xiao He to now, when it was bullying Xiao He. The two beasts were very familiar with each other. This was definitely not in line with Xiao He's personality. Something must have gone wrong. Let's go and take a look. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes darkened. We have to be careful. Since this had happened, the other party must be an enemy and not a friend. Although she did not want to believe it, Xiao He had not returned for so long. She must have been discovered by the other party. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and Baisher quickened their pace and quickly rushed forward. As they got closer, they were able to clearly see the situation in front of them. But when she saw it, Bailey Hongzhuang's face turned cold. In her line of sight, Jun Lingxuan, Jun Shitao, and Xiao Sou were all present. There was also another person that Bailey Hongzhuang found familiar, Su Minglei. At this moment, Xiao He was being tied up and stepped on by Jun Lingxuan with a rope. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that it was not an ordinary rope. The rope was full of barbs. Once it fell on the body, it would definitely be dripping with blood. It would be an extremely painful thing to remove it. At this moment, blood was flowing out of Xiao He's body, dyeing the ground red. Xiao He. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. Previously, when Xiao He had not returned, she had guessed that Xiao He had been held hostage. However, she never thought that the other party would treat Xiao He in this manner. Master, I'm sorry. Xiao He's eyes were filled with shame. She never thought that the other party would discover her after she had approached them. Clearly, the other party had a treasure that could detect nearby auras. Hence, she had been discovered the moment she had approached them. Once she had been discovered, she had wanted to leave immediately. However, these fellows seemed to be well prepared, and she had not been able to free herself. In the end, she had ended up in this state. Xiao He, we will definitely save you. Baisher's eyes burned with a raging fire. He could not control the rage in his heart when he saw how Xiao He had been treated. Bailey Hongzhuang, you've really come. Chapter 48-44. Let go of Xiao He. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was icy cold. Her dark eyes were like a frozen lake in October as she stared fixedly at Jun Lingxuan, as if she could freeze everything into ice. Xiao He. Jun Lingxuan raised an eyebrow and increased the force of his foot on Xiao He. Are you talking about this furball? As Jun Lingxuan increased the strength of his foot, the barbs on the rope pierced even deeper into Blackie's body. Blackie couldn't help but let out a muffled groan as bright red blood rapidly flowed out. Stop it, Bailey Hongzhuang roared. Her eyes were deep and cold. Why should I stop it? Jun Lingxuan laughed mockingly as he stared mockingly at Bailey Hongzhuang. His voice was frivolous and playful. Why don't you kneel down and beg me? That's right. If you kneel down and beg us, perhaps we'll be in a good mood and let it go. Jun Zitao's face was full of smiles, but a trace of resentment appeared in the depths of his eyes. Weren't you very arrogant during the pill refining competition? Why aren't you arrogant now? I said let go. A shocking murderous aura emanated from Bailey Hongzhuang's pitch-black eyes. The temperature around Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to drop to the freezing point in an instant as a domineering and powerful aura exploded from her body. Noticing the change in Bailey Hongzhuang's aura, Jun Lingxuan and the others felt their hearts tremble. They had never seen Bailey Hongzhuang like this before. The murderous intent in her eyes was almost tangible. Even though they knew that they held the absolute advantage, they could not help but feel intimidated when faced with Bailey Hongzhuang's current state. Xiao Sou's eyes flashed with deep shock when she saw Bailey Hongzhuang's current state. She never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be able to emit such an aura. It was truly shocking. It's just a contracted beast. I didn't expect you to care so much about it. It's not just a contracted beast. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold. To her, Xiao He was not just a contracted beast, but also her family. She was a transmigrator. From the day she was reborn, she had been alone. However, Xiao He and Xiao Bai had always been by her side. They knew everything about her and were loyal to her. With their companionship, she never felt lonely. However, these damned bastards are now treating Xiao He in such a manner. She could not tolerate this. Although Xiao Shou was surprised by Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction, this was exactly what she wanted to see. Bailey Hongzhuang, when you had acted so arrogantly in front of me in the past, did you not think that you would one day be under my control? A complacent smile bloomed on Xiao Shou's lips. She had always wanted to see Bailey Hongzhuang in agony. The more Bailey Hongzhuang was in pain, the happier she would be. I've never paid any attention to those who have lost to me. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold, and her exquisite and beautiful face showed no signs of fear. At the same time, she was communicating with the white dragon in her heart. White dragon, are you confident if you attack? She could see that Xiao He was in a terrible state. That strange rope seemed to be able to injure her core. If it was only a flesh wound, Xiao He would not be so dispirited. Hence, she could not afford to waste too much time here. She must rescue Xiao He as soon as possible. Based on her and Bai Shi's powers, they should be able to deal with the other two. She would have to leave the other two to Bai Shi. Hongzhuang, you must think this through. Other cultivators could appear at any time. Chapter 48-45. We can't care about that now. The most important thing right now is to rescue Xiao He. Bailey Hongzhuang's gloomy black eyes were like a deep abyss, hiding a power that could devour everything. At this moment, she was in no mood to care about anything else. All she wanted was for Xiao He to be safe and for these damned fellows to pay the price. She would never let anyone who had hurt anyone she cares about get away with it. What more, her closest kin. Since you've made your decision, very well, I'll make my move. The white dragon did not hesitate. It knows that Bailey Hongzhuang has made all the necessary preparations in her heart. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to attack with the white dragon's anxious voice suddenly rang out, "Wait. What is it?" Bailey Hongzhuang furrowed her brows. She does not wish for any problems to arise at a time like this. I sense another aura from Jun Lingxuan's body. I'm afraid that there's another powerful existence by his side. The white dragon's voice sank. This situation has clearly exceeded their expectations. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart turned cold. If Jun Lingxuan really does have such a powerful existence by his side, their current situation would be very dire indeed. At the very least, it would be very difficult for them to rescue Xiao He. Based on your judgment, what should we do? Even though she was worried about Xiao He's safety, Bailey Hongzhuang did not lose her sense of propriety. She understands that the more dangerous the situation, the more she needs to remain calm. I can only sense that the aura is not weak, but I can't determine its actual power. The best situation now is for me to not make an appearance. Once I do, that aura will appear as well. It won't help with the current situation. On the contrary, you'll expose the secret of the Chaos Ring. The white dragon's voice was filled with mixed emotions. It never thought that Jun Lingxuan would have such a powerful ally. However, based on the current situation, what it had said was the best way to deal with it. This news was no different from a nightmare to Bailey Hongzhuang. If the white dragon could not lend a hand, then she and the white lion would naturally not be a match for the four of them. It would be even more difficult to rescue Xiao He. Xiao Shou's face turned ashen when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang's contemptuous words. She didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so unyielding at this moment. The most despicable thing was that the other party's words reminded her of the time when she was in the underground market. Bailey Hongzhuang had also treated her like a loser. She was the dignified young miss of the Xiao clan, yet she was actually looked down upon by someone from the lower realms. One could imagine the fury in her heart. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't be too arrogant. Xiao Shou gritted her teeth and glared at her coldly, as if she wanted to tear her into pieces. You have to think carefully. Even if that contracted beast has reached the peak of the Starlight Realm, you're still no match for us. Do you want to see your contracted beast die in front of you with your own eyes? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned to Su Minglei. If she only felt disgust towards Su Minglei before, then at this moment, she couldn't wait to tear him into pieces. She regretted letting Su Minglei escape the most. If not for that, he wouldn't have fallen into such a predicament. Facing Bailey Hongzhuang's sharp eyes, Su Minglei couldn't help but shiver. However, he didn't retreat because of this. Chapter 48-46. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were like black vortexes as she looked coldly at Su Minglei. Didn't you already know the outcome from the moment you gave up on them? Are you putting on an act now when you display such a caring appearance? If Su Minglei was slightly unperturbed, then perhaps you would think slightly more highly of him. But after he clearly made such a heartless decision, he revealed such a caring appearance now, and that was slightly laughable. Along with Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Jun Lingxuan's group of 3 couldn't help but look at Su Minglei. Even though the decision Su Minglei made earlier wasn't a big deal to them, their own lives were the most important after all, and selfishness was human nature. But at this moment, along with Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they felt it was rather reasonable. A true villain wasn't so detestable, and it was a hypocrite that was detestable. A trace of embarrassment appeared on Su Minglei's face as he'd never imagined that his question would actually give rise to such a topic. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're eloquent indeed, but you'll surely die here today, and you'll be buried with Yiqing and the others. Su Minglei spoke furiously. Meanwhile, the white dragon's voice resounded out in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind. Hongzhuang, there's another way now. What way? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned, and she was really unable to think of a better way in the current situation. If you're already prepared to expose the secret, then directly place Xiao He into the Chaos Ring. The white dragon's voice revealed a slightly heavy tone. If it was possible, it naturally didn't wish for the secret of the Chaos Ring to be exposed. But Xiao He was an extremely important existence as well, so it couldn't be helped at the critical moment. There's another way, and that's to place all of them into the Chaos Ring after I come out. Because I'm unable to confirm exactly what cultivation the other aura on Jun Lingxuan's body possesses, and I can't guarantee that I'll be able to defeat him. In this way, we can't enter the Chaos Ring again, and we have to wait until we have sufficient confidence to annihilate them before entering. White Dragon's eyes flashed with a complicated light. For the current situation, this was not a bad idea. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. This is indeed a good idea. As long as they could save Xiao He, that would be the best. I'll try to put them all into the Chaos Ring. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned cold. She was disgusted by the people in front of her. If she could get rid of them, she would be helping the D family to clear the way. All right, I'll be ready to come out at any time, White Dragon replied. After making her decision, Bailey Hongzhuang did not delay any longer. With a thought, she was about to put Jun Lingxuan and the others in her Chaos Ring. However, after she tried, she realized that she did not succeed. What's going on? Bailey Hongzhuang furrowed her brows. Ever since she had obtained the Chaos Ring, nothing like this had ever happened. Try putting Xiao He into the Chaos Ring again. White Dragon's expression was complicated as well. Bailey Hongzhuang tried again, but to no avail. How could this be? Bailey Hongzhuang was shocked. She had never noticed this problem before. Ever since they had entered the Divine Cloud's secret realm, Xiao He and Baishir had always been by her side and had never entered the Chaos Ring. Hence, she had never noticed this. Chapter 48-47. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with disbelief. All this while, they had been able to enter and exit the Chaos Ring as they pleased. However, she never thought that she would encounter such a situation in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Perhaps only inanimate objects can be placed in here. Living objects cannot enter another space directly. The white dragon's voice deepened. Actually, this is also a type of restrictive spell. Only powerful cultivators can set it up. Previously, when you were in the lower realm, most restrictive spells would not be able to affect the Chaos Ring at all. However, the restrictive spells in the upper realm are much stronger than those in the lower realm. Bailey Hongzhuang tried 2 more times, but realized that there was no effect. Only then did she realize the truth. If that's the case, if you come out, does that mean that you won't be able to enter the Chaos Ring again? Her clear, cold eyes flashed with a complicated light. Or, you won't be able to come out at all? Based on the current situation, this was very likely. I can't be certain about this either. However, it's just as you said. If I come out, I'm afraid that I won't be able to enter again. The white dragon replied. Bailey Hongzhuang's heart slowly sank. This was definitely not good news for her. Previously, she had not placed too much importance on the dangers of the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Because of the power of the Chaos Ring, she had many ways to escape. However, without this method, the danger of the Chaos Ring has greatly increased. At the very least, saving Xiao He has become extremely difficult. Jun Lingxuan and the others did not panic when they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had sunk into silence. Since Bailey Hongzhuang would not be able to escape, they would just tease her for a while longer and treat it as a form of entertainment. Bailey Hongzhuang, you don't have to think anymore. No matter what you think, it's useless. Xiao Shou sneered. What on earth do you want? After realizing that their previous methods were useless, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiao Shou and the others once again. She could only rely on herself now. Didn't I tell you before? If you kneel down and beg us, I will consider letting it go. Jun Lingxuan's lips curved into a playful smile as he proudly looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. With Bailey Hongzhuang's peerless face, most men would not be able to lay their hands on her. If Xiao Shou was not here, he really wanted to make Bailey Hongzhuang his woman. However, he knew that he had to look at the big picture. Right now, the Jun family had to join forces with the Xiao family. Only then would they be able to completely overthrow the Di family. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was outstanding, she did not have enough power behind her, so Xiao Shou was the most important. One of the main reasons why he was teasing Bailey Hongzhuang was to curry favor with Xiao Shou. He was well aware of a woman's jealousy. In the past, Bailey Hongzhuang had stolen the limelight. Xiao Shou hated Bailey Hongzhuang to the extreme. At this moment, he could help Xiao Shou vent her anger. Xiao Shou's impression of him would definitely improve greatly. Compared to the other suitors, his chances of winning were undoubtedly the highest. In your dreams, Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. If that's your attitude, then there's nothing I can do. Jun Lingxuan spread out his hands and increased the strength of his feet. Xiao He could not help but groan again. Her face revealed a painful expression. Stop, Bailey Hongzhuang said through gritted teeth. Chapter 48:48. When Xiao Shou saw Jun Lingxuan venting his anger for her, a deep smile appeared in her eyes. The more pain Bailey Hongzhuang was in, the happier she was. During this period of time, she had been suppressed by Bailey Hongzhuang. Due to her engagement with Di Beichun, she had been compared to Bailey Hongzhuang everywhere. Initially, she had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was not fit to appear on the same stage as her. Now, she has become the object of comparison. Most importantly, Bailey Hongzhuang had been in the limelight during this period of time. Many people had vaguely decided that she could not compare to her. This was an insult to her. Every time she had nightmares, she would feel a strong urge to kill her. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was standing in front of them in humiliation, completely helpless at their mercy. Bailey Hongzhuang no longer had her arrogant demeanor. This made her feel a great sense of satisfaction. If you don't kneel down, I'll kill it. Jun Lingxuan pulled out his sharp sword and pointed it at Xiao He. The tip of the sharp sword pierced Xiao He's body. Fresh blood stained the tip of the sword, but Xiao He held on and did not make a sound. Her dark, bottomless eyes stared fixedly at Jun Lingxuan. The dark light in her eyes was like 2 bottomless pools, emitting a shocking murderous intent. Jun Lingxuan, after this day, if I don't die, I will kill you with my own hands. Bailey Hongzhuang spat out these vicious, murderous words. Her hands were clenched in a fist as hatred burned wildly in her chest, nearly burning her entire being into ashes. Jun Lingxuan chuckled. Based on your current situation, saying such harsh words to me won't have any deterrent effect. Bailey Hongzhuang, stop stalling for time. Jun Zitao sneered. If you don't kneel down and beg for mercy, this contract beast will really lose its life. Master, don't worry about me. Leave quickly. When Xiaohei saw Bailey Hongzhuang being humiliated by Jun Lingxuan and the others, her eyes flashed with hatred. It never thought that its master would suffer such humiliation because of it. It secretly hated its own uselessness. If it had not fallen into the hands of Jun Lingxuan, why would its master have to endure all this? Seeing its master suffer, it felt even worse. If that was the case, it would rather die a quick death. Shut up. Jun Zitao kicked Xiaohei, then looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, You have to think carefully, time waits for no one. Master, forget it. It's not worth it. Baisher looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, Let's leave quickly. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Baisher, then at Xiaohei with tears in her eyes. Finally, a determined light flashed in her eyes. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang stepped back a few steps. When Xiao So saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was about to escape, she took a few steps forward and approached Bailey Hongzhuang. Clearly, if Bailey Hongzhuang were to escape, Xiaohei would chase after her immediately. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to turn around and leave, she exchanged glances with Baisher. Baisher, we only have one chance. Bailey Hongzhuang replied. Understand. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang and Baisher turned around and left as quickly as they could. They're running away, Xiao So quickly shouted. Chapter 48-49. A contracted beast was undoubtedly very important to every cultivator, but it was definitely not as important as their own life. When she saw how Bailey Hongzhuang valued Xiaohei so much, she felt a little strange. When she saw Bailey Hongzhuang turning around to leave, she realized that Bailey Hongzhuang had put on an act to divert their attention so that she could escape. When Jun Lingxuan and the others saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, a trace of astonishment flashed across their eyes. However, they were not overly anxious because of this. This was because from the moment Bailey Hongzhuang had appeared here, it was already destined that she would not be able to escape. However, what happened next was beyond their expectations. Just as Xiao So was about to chase after Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly flashed and appeared behind Xiao So at lightning speed. A dagger appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and was placed horizontally across Xiao So's neck. Xiao So was equally shocked. She never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would suddenly make such a move. It was completely beyond her expectations. Bailey Hongzhuang, this is your scheme. Xiao So cried out angrily and immediately struggled to break free from Bailey Hongzhuang's grip. Don't move. Bailey Hongzhuang held Xiao So hostage. If you dare to move again, I can't guarantee that my dagger won't disfigure your face. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao So instantly stopped moving. To a woman, nothing was more important than her face. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't act recklessly. Xiao So's voice was filled with anxiety. She was really worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would go crazy and ignore everything. Let go of Xiaohei. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze turned to Jun Lingxuan. Jun Lingxuan, Jun Zitao, and Su Minglei could not help but feel astonished when they saw this sudden change. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was holding Xiao So hostage, Jun Lingxuan's eyes flashed with a complicated light. He did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so calm at a time like this, and even come up with such a plan. It must be said that they had underestimated her. This Bailey Hongzhuang is much smarter than Xiao So. A voice rang in Jun Lingxuan's mind. It's a pity that she doesn't have a strong background. Otherwise, I wouldn't treat her like this. Jun Lingxuan shrugged his shoulders. He had never cared about relationships. Only benefits were the most important. He did not like Xiao Sou. Although there were many cultivators who pursued Xiao Sou, he felt that most of them did not admire Xiao Sou herself, but her benefits and the Xiao family behind her. He was the same. If the Xiao family did not exist, any man would probably choose Bailey Hongzhuang before Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Sou, because not only was she beautiful, but she was also smart and even very capable. There was nothing to nitpick about. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly let go of Miss Xiao. Jun Lingxuan's face revealed a nervous expression and hurriedly said, "Let go of Xiao He first." Bailey Hongzhuang did not back down. "All right then." Jun Lingxuan nodded. "We'll let her go together. You have no right to negotiate with me." Her ink-black phoenix eyes flashed with a determined and ruthless light. "If you don't let her go, I'll kill her directly." Chapter 4850. Faced with Jun Shitao's threat, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold and her gaze was icy. "It looks like you want Xiao Sou to die." Saying that, the dagger in her hand slit open Xiao Sou's skin and fresh blood immediately flowed out. "Stop it!" Xiao Sou quickly cried out when she felt the pain in her neck. She knew that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to kill her, and her heart was filled with remorse. She had actually fallen into her hands. "Young Master Jun, let go of Xiao He at once." Xiao Sou looked pleadingly at Jun Lingxuan. She felt that if this were to go on, Bailey Hongzhuang would very likely kill her. After all, to Bailey Hongzhuang, she was also an extremely loathsome existence. Hearing that, Jun Lingxuan nodded. "All right, I'll let it go." In the next moment, Jun Lingxuan immediately released the rope that was tied around Xiao He's body. Immediately after that, Xiao He moved her body and quickly approached Bailey Hongzhuang. "Master." The weak Xiao He came to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. "I'm sorry, I've dragged you into this." Seeing that Xiao He had returned, Bailey Hongzhuang heaved a sigh of relief. "Don't say such silly things, as long as you're all right." But looking at the extremely weak Xiao He before her, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. "Why are you so weak?" "There's something strange about that rope. It's been absorbing my blood essence," Xiao He said in a low voice. Ever since she had been tied up by that rope, she had discovered that the blood essence in her body was being continuously absorbed. Blood essence was extremely important to both cultivators and demonic beasts. Once the blood essence was absorbed, one's condition would quickly deteriorate. At this moment, more than half of the blood essence in her body had been absorbed, and she had naturally become like this. Absorbing blood essence? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyebrows flashed with a trace of surprise. She really didn't expect that the rope would have such an effect. "That's too vicious," Yi Futian said. White Lion's eyes also flashed with intense hatred. If they had not held Xiao Sou hostage, Xiao He would not have been able to live for long under the constant absorption of the rope. Even if Little Black was saved now, with its current weak state, if they couldn't find the essence blood, it would take a long time for it to recover. I'm afraid this has something to do with Jun Lingxuan's aura. White Dragon's voice rang out. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression changed slightly. It seems that the aura on Jun Lingxuan's body isn't anything good. Since it needed to absorb a person's blood essence, it could be seen that the cultivation method it practiced was also vicious. There were many vicious cultivation methods in this world that relied on absorbing blood essence and finding a human cauldron to increase one's cultivation. Even though the rate of increase was very fast, it was extremely vicious and was despised by many. She never thought that Jun Lingxuan, a disciple of an aristocratic family, would have such an existence by his side. This isn't strange. White Dragon appeared to be relatively calm. Many people put on a dignified front, but they're not good people behind the scenes. "Master, Xiao He has been reduced to this state. I'm afraid that she won't be able to recover in a short period of time." White Lion sighed. As a demonic beast, he understood the importance of blood essence to a demonic beast all too well. After losing so much blood essence, Xiao Hei's powers would decrease by a large amount. Bailey Hongzhuang, I've released your contracted beast. Now, you should release Lady Xiao. Jun Lingxuan spoke. Chapter 48-51. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're too shameless. Xiao Sou's eyes were burning with rage. You're going back on your word. Xiao Sou, get this straight. I've never said that I'll let you go. How am I going back on my word? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. Besides, in terms of shamelessness, I can't compare to you. Sensing the chilling chill in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao Sou couldn't help but turn her pleading gaze towards Jun Lingxuan. Now, they could only rely on Jun Lingxuan to think of a solution. She had already fallen into Bailey Hongzhuang's hands, and it was obvious that nothing they said would be of any use. Big brother, what should we do? Jun Zitao's brows furrowed. I didn't think that this Bailey Hongzhuang would be so smart. If we attack her directly, I'm afraid that Miss Xiao would lose her life. Bailey Hongzhuang was already a turtle in a jar, and it was impossible for her to escape. Now that Xiao Sou was being held hostage, they were instead restricted and didn't dare to make a move. Because once Xiao Sou lost her life, their alliance with the Xiao family would be affected. So no matter what, they must protect Xiao Sou. Young Master Jun, this Bailey Hongzhuang is extremely cunning. We have to think of a way. Su Minglei's face was just as ugly. He had been avoiding Bailey Hongzhuang's pursuit all this time, worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would come looking for him. It was only after he met Jun Lingxuan and the others that he felt completely relieved. After all, the grudges between the Jun family and the Di family were clear to all of them. It was because of this that he had told them about the conflict between himself and Bailey Hongzhuang, and had asked Jun Lingxuan and the others to make preparations. He was also puzzled by Jun Lingxuan's methods. Previously, when Xiao Hei had appeared, he hadn't noticed it at all, but Jun Lingxuan seemed to have predicted it and had immediately ordered them to attack a certain spot. Just like that, Xiao Hei had fallen into their hands. In fact, even if Xiao Hei had appeared right in front of him, he probably wouldn't have noticed it. After this incident, he felt that Jun Lingxuan was a terrifying existence. If he could, he only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the situation before him now's an impossible. You've saved your life, Xiao Hei Hongzhuang, but you should know that she's in a very weak state. Jun Lingxuan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang firmly. As long as you let Miss Xiao go, I'll return this thing to you. How about it? As soon as he finished speaking, a transparent glass bottle appeared in Jun Lingxuan's hand. Inside the bottle was a bright red liquid. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. That's Xiao Hei's blood essence. Bai Shi hurriedly exclaimed. That's right. That's my blood essence. Xiao Hei's eyes burned with fury. Ever since she was born, she had never been treated like this. The feeling of having her blood essence drawn out was the most painful. If we retrieve this blood essence, will Xiao Hei's condition improve? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. She didn't know much about this. After all, there were some differences between monsters and cultivators. Yes. Bai Shi nodded. Xiao Sou had also heard the conversation between Bailey Hongzhuang and her two contracted beasts. She hurriedly said, since that's the case, Bailey Hongzhuang, what are you still thinking about? Chapter 48-52. The moment she threw it out, Jun Lingxuan's voice rang out. Bailey Hongzhuang, that bottle is made of glass. Once it breaks, it will be useless. At the same time, Jun Zitao attacked Bai Shi. Seeing Jun Zitao's sudden attack, Bai Shi instinctively dodged. Seeing that the glass bottle was about to hit the ground, Bailey Hongzhuang moved and caught the glass bottle in her hand. Taking advantage of the time when Bailey Hongzhuang caught the glass bottle, Xiao Sou's inner energy surged and attacked Bailey Hongzhuang, then quickly retreated and escaped from Bailey Hongzhuang's grip. Miss Xiao, are you all right? Jun Lingxuan came to Xiao Sou's side, his handsome face revealing a look of concern. Xiao Sou nodded. Young Master Jun, thank you. She knew very well that if it wasn't for Jun Lingxuan, she would have died in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. Miss Xiao, you're too polite. We're on the same side. As long as you're safe, I can rest assured. Jun Lingxuan's smile was still on his face, like a spring breeze. Looking at Jun Lingxuan like this, Xiao Sou's heartbeat suddenly sped up and her cheeks flushed red. Although she knew that Jun Lingxuan had feelings for her, she didn't take it to heart, because all along, there had been many cultivators who pursued her. But after Jun Lingxuan saved her, her thoughts suddenly changed. It was only now that she realized that Jun Lingxuan was also so handsome. Most importantly, she was very important in his eyes. Jun Lingxuan also noticed the change in Xiao Sou's expression, and the complacency in his heart grew stronger. It seemed that his goal was about to be achieved. Xiao Sou obviously had feelings for him, so it was only a matter of time before he completely captured Xiao Sou's heart. He had to thank Bailey Hongzhuang. If it weren't for this, he probably wouldn't have been able to make Xiao Sou fall in love with him. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw that Xiao Sou had broken free from her control, she did not pay too much attention to it. She carefully checked the blood essence to make sure that there was nothing wrong with it before handing it over to Xiao He. Xiao He, this is for you. At this moment, Xiao He was simply too weak. Bailey Hongzhuang also hoped that she would be able to recover quickly after finding her blood essence. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to even stay awake in her current state. Thank you, Master. Xiao He accepted the blood essence. Bailey Hongzhuang, what's the use of saving your contracted beast? Today, all of you will die here. Jun Zitao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang coldly. He only felt that the other party's previous efforts were all useless. Their goal was never Xiao He, but Bailey Hongzhuang. From the moment Bailey Hongzhuang appeared here, she was destined to never leave. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. The outcome hasn't been decided yet. Don't be happy too early. Haha, what did I hear? Jun Zitao laughed. You're just a mere 6-star light realm. You're dreaming if you want to escape from our hands. They had already learned about Bailey Hongzhuang's specific strength from Su Minglei. Even if Su Minglei repeatedly emphasized that Bailey Hongzhuang's combat strength was stronger than his, they would not put her in their eyes. No matter how strong he was, how strong could he be? Chapter 48-53. In the face of Jun Zitao's disdainful words, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was calm, her eyes clear and unwavering, as if she was not affected at all. Big brother, let me meet this Bailey Hongzhuang and see how capable she is to be so arrogant. Jun Zitao looked at Jun Lingxuan and suggested. Hearing this, Jun Lingxuan frowned. Zitao, she's a little strange. Big brother, don't worry, there won't be a problem. Jun Zitao was full of confidence and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of him. You're here, what are you afraid of? I'll take this opportunity to meet her and see what a cultivator from the lower realms is capable of. At this time, Su Minglei hurriedly spoke up. Second young master Jun, this Bailey Hongzhuang's combat strength is much stronger than her cultivation. It's not as simple as it looks. Jun Zitao frowned and waved his hand, his face full of displeasure. What? Do you think I'm not her opponent? Seeing this, Su Minglei forcibly swallowed back the words she wanted to say. Her expression was awkward, as she quickly waved her hand. Of course not. Since you're not, then why are you talking nonsense here? Jun Zitao asked. Su Minglei immediately fell silent. He was just being kind. He didn't expect to be reprimanded by Jun Zitao, and his heart was filled with anger. He was the young master of the Su family, and he was being treated like this by Jun Zitao. If it weren't for the fact that they had more people in the Jun family, he wouldn't have bothered with Jun Zitao. At this moment, he wished that Jun Zitao would die in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, who asked him to be so arrogant. He deserved it. Young Master Jun, since second young master wants to try, let him try. Xiao Sou smiled at Jun Zitao. With you here, nothing will happen. If you need help, we'll do it directly. Jun Lingxuan listened to Xiao Sou's words and nodded. Since you want to try, then go ahead. Jun Zitao had always listened to Jun Lingxuan. After seeing Jun Lingxuan agree, a smile appeared on his face. Thank you, big brother. Don't worry, I will definitely teach her a lesson and help my future sister-in-law vent her anger. Jun Zitao's face was filled with joy as he looked at Xiao Sou and Jun Lingxuan with an ambiguous gaze. As Jun Lingxuan's younger brother, he naturally knew what his elder brother was thinking. This trip to the immortal cloud mystic realm was a great opportunity for him to pursue Xiao Sou. After what happened just now, he believed that Xiao Sou would definitely become his future sister-in-law. Suddenly hearing Jun Zitao's words, Xiao Sou was slightly taken aback. Her face quickly flushed red, and her eyes were filled with shyness. Jun Lingxuan smiled and explained, Miss Xiao, my younger brother doesn't think before he speaks. Please don't take it to heart. Xiao Sou nodded her head shyly, but her heart was filled with disappointment. However, Jun Lingxuan's next words made her happy once again. Of course, if all of this can become a reality, it would naturally be the happiest thing for me. As he said that, Jun Lingxuan sized up Xiao Sou's expression. Feeling Jun Lingxuan's gaze, Xiao Sou became even more shy, not knowing what to say. Jun Lingxuan saw that he had achieved his goal and did not say anything more. He understood that for a woman to accept him, it would naturally take some time. His big brother was finally going to be together with Xiao Sou. He didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang's two contracted beasts would suddenly say such a thing. It was obvious that it had caused some damage. All right, Xiao Sou nodded, her eyes sinister and vicious. I want her to die here today. In the next moment, Jun Zitao took a step forward and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Bailey Hongzhuang, I'll give you a chance to fight one-on-one. Show me what you've got. Chapter 48-55. Master, don't worry. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was instructing Bai Shi, Jun Zitao's figure flashed and turned into an invisible ray of light that attacked directly. Seeing that Jun Zitao had launched a sneak attack on her, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned, and a sharp light appeared in her beautiful eyes. The next moment, the mind-severing sword in her hand stabbed violently in a direction without hesitation. Jun Zitao did a backflip and retreated a few steps. When his figure could be seen clearly again, he was looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with an ashen face. Jun Zitao had always been very confident in his figure. He was very good at speed. Usually, when he launched a sneak attack, the average person would not be able to react in time. However, he did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be able to detect his location. His eyes were suddenly filled with astonishment. You can actually detect me? What's so strange about detecting you? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows, and her eyes were cold. It was true that the naked eye could not detect Jun Zitao's true location. However, she could lock onto him based on her aura. Moreover, after so many years of fighting, she had already developed a combat awareness. She did not need to think at all and could subconsciously determine the opponent's location. This combat awareness could not be described with words, but it really existed. Most importantly, it was very accurate. At least you have some skills. Jun Zitao chuckled. He still did not put Bailey Hongzhuang in his eyes. However, this is still not enough. Vigorous power erupted from Jun Zitao's body, and a fiery red light appeared between his hands. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang felt the surrounding temperature suddenly rise. Fire attribute. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately knew Jun Zitao's attribute. The fire attribute was undoubtedly an extremely strong attribute in combat. In the next moment, Jun Zitao directly attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. The scorching temperature seemed to be able to burn the air. Jun Zitao waved his hands, and a fireball attacked directly. Once the fireball touched the body, it would undoubtedly burn. After Xiao Sou saw Jun Zitao's method, a smile appeared on her face. It would be best to burn all of Bailey Hongshuang's clothes. That would be interesting. She wanted Bailey Hongshuang to die in humiliation. This was undoubtedly an excellent method. Thinking of this, Xiao Soa looked at Jun Zitao with satisfaction. Although the D family had stolen the limelight during the previous pill refining competition, it seemed that things weren't as bad as his father had thought. Although the Jun family's strength was slightly weaker than the D family's, as long as they worked together, they would still be an extremely powerful force. Bailey Hongshuang also realized the purpose of Jun Zitao's actions. Her eyes were filled with disgust, and her face was even colder. Shameless. However, Jun Zitao did not care about Bailey Hongshuang's insults at all. He just wanted to tease Bailey Hongshuang. Under such circumstances, Bailey Hongshuang immediately retreated. In order to avoid the flames, she appeared to be very flustered. Looking at this, Jun Zitao could not help but sneer. Su Minglei, I haven't seen you for a few years. I see that your combat power has greatly decreased, right? You can't even deal with this kind of strength? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.